you were looking for a team to join. You were looking for somewhere to go, right? And you're like, look, in January, I'm going all in, right? And I talk to a lot of people that say that, by the way, right? Like, man, I'm going all in, And but obviously in hindsight, like you weren't kidding around, right? Like you did it. You did what you said you were going to do. You showed up on January 1 and you went all in, right? And you beat everybody on the team in terms of being rookie of the year, right? And I have no doubt in my mind that you'll do incredible this year. So like, I want to talk about that a little bit and just jump right into the nuts and bolts of like, what in the heck allowed you to do that, right? And I'm sure it is a bunch of different stuff. So I'll just open it up to you for a second. Talk to me about what you did on January 1. Like, what separated you from everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think there's a number of different things that go into it, right? And I think it all boils down to your work ethic. And in this industry, you find out very quickly that it's tough. And if you don't go all in from day one, it's easy for this industry to chew you up and spit you out. And I knew that coming in. Thankfully, I'd been surrounded by some people leading up to that point that had groomed me enough to know what to expect. So I'm sure we'll get to it, but I was coming from a career that I loved, and I think I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder going into real estate. Just I was so dedicated to make it work, and there really wasn't another option that I knew that I had to go all in, right?
Yeah.
So thankfully, I was able to surround myself with people like you and our entire team, which helped shorten that learning curve. And I had some past experience that helped with that a bit, but really it was just telling myself that we're going to find a way to make this work, right? Wow. There's not really another option. Whatever it takes, we're going to do it, right?
Yeah. I feel like so many people, though, like they say that, right? And like, because I've talked to a lot of people over the years, man. Like we, in my entrepreneurship journey, I've probably had hired and fired over 1,000 people, like for sure, And the amount of people that are like, dude, I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? And I'm going to be the hardest worker, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And man, so many people are all talk, like it just, and it blows my mind every time, right? I'm like, they talk the big talk and they do not walk that out at all, right? Mm-hmm. And you walked it out, so like, was that just like a daily act? Like, was it just like you waking up every morning and saying like, man, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. Like, was that really what it boiled down to?
More or less, at first, no matter how much you prepare for day one, quote unquote, preparing is different than being in the thick of it. And I remember I woke up on January 4th, which Monday, January 4th, that was going to be the first day I was a realtor. And I woke up at home and I went up to my office and it was like, okay, now what? I've been planning for this in my head for this long. And, I had some ideas of what I needed to do, but until you're in it, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. So I remember I came in that week and we were at the old office, and it wasn't as segmented as it is now, where we have a dedicated area, right? But I remember asking, I was like, can I just sit here, And I didn't have a lot to do at that point, but I was just a sponge. And I sat there for a couple weeks just listening to people talk and asking questions and learning from people who were doing things that I wanted to do. And I wanted everybody in the office to know that I was there, I wasn't going anywhere, and if you needed anything, I could be that guy to help you out, right? And I was willing to jump on any opportunity. And a couple weeks in, we had a seller lead come through that one of our other agents had a listing appointment set up for, and they double scheduled it, whatever. I think it came through as a cash offer lead, right? And they wanted a absorbent amount of money, and it wasn't going to work for our cash offer. And they were like, Sean, do you want to go try out a listing appointment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll go try it out. So I go down there. Walk in, total hoarder house, right? She wants probably more than market value. The market was on fire at that time, but long story short, I find a way. I get this listing agreement signed, and I leave. I call my wife, and I call one of my best friends, Tyler, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing Monday, right? They're like, nothing. I'm like, great. You're gonna come down. You're gonna help clean this house for us. We're gonna get it on the market that weekend.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, they're down there that Monday. We're scrubbing floors. We're cleaning windows. And I saw that as an opportunity, right? That was something that I could springboard into more, hopefully. So I hit that pretty hard. I did, mailers and door knocking and circle dialing and huge open houses. And we ended up selling that house for, I think like $50,000 over ask. And that wasn't a testament to the cleaning that we did, but the market was just on fire. And then from there, I think I picked up a buyer. From that buyer, I got another listing. So it was just kind of that aha moment. And to use a basketball analogy, I guess, it's like you see that first shot go down and it's like that, aha, okay, this is how we can start to snowball this into more deals.
Yeah. I was talking to Dylan about it, and I've talked to Dylan multiple times, and to your story of being there, right? Like you were in the office and you asked, like, and I remember, being and it wasn't like our old office, like had like the energy that we have today, right? No. I mean, it was good people, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't anywhere near like what we got going on right now. But you were there, right? And I think had you not been there, like, do you think you would have gotten that deal, that first deal?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So then how much do you attribute to just showing up?
It's everything. I mean, one of the things that drew me to our team was the culture, and everybody talks culture, right? And for me, that meant I knew that there was going to be times in real estate that were going to be really hard, ups and downs, whatever, but I was just trying to ask myself in those times, what do you want, right? And for me, it was I wanted a place to go and that I felt like could be family and know that I can always come and learn and grow. And so that was just a big thing. I just knew that if I could just show up every day and put in that work, I would get somewhere, right? I mean, if you're there and you're putting in the work, you're asking the right questions, you're going to luck into some deals, I think.
1,000,000%. I could not agree more, actually. You're going to stumble over into somebody's living room and you're accidentally going to sign a contract. Like seriously, because to a degree, I believe that success is just a math equation, right? Like 2 + 2 = 4. Like if I'm just doing it for a long enough period of time, I'll eventually make it happen one way or the other. Like, even if I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? So then that leads me to like, why then do some people not show up? Like if showing up is so simple, like a mentor told me a long time ago, he said, Austin, like, in life, what is easy to do is also easy not to do, right? And it's so simple, right? It's like you really think about it. You're like making your bed, right? It's easy to do. It's also real easy not to do, right? But it makes such a big difference. So then, you sit out there all day long and you're around a bunch of other agents and stuff. And I'd say, there's certain people that just don't show up, right? And not just in our office, but in any office and all throughout the country. What is, in your opinion, what's the difference between the person who just shows up every day and the person who doesn't show up?
It's hard when you're your own boss and you don't have anybody telling you to show up. If you're not all in on this, it's going to be really easy not to do that, and I don't have it all figured out. There's days when I really want to just stay at home and work from home, but I know I'm not as productive when I do that, and I know that I'm not going to get those opportunities if I'm at home, right? And I'm not going to overhear that conversation on the other side of the room and learn from that. And so I think that the answer is it's easy. It's easy to not do that, and a lot of people I think get into this industry because they like the idea of working from home if they don't want to go into the office, and you do that for a day or two and it turns into a week or two, and then your pipeline goes dry and it gets really easy to just throw in the towel.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so key, right?
Mm-hmm. I know that Dylan, like, for people that don't know, Dylan is the VP of sales, right? Dylan's been with me forever. And I remember like many, many months where Dylan's like, dude, I'm going to give the opportunities to whoever's sitting right there. Like, and he would just tell me that all the time. He's like, whoever's here is going to get the opportunity. It was that simple. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who was out there. It didn't matter how old or young they were. It didn't matter what nationality they were. It didn't matter what they looked like or what they smelled like or what their hair was like. Dylan would just say, very simply, whoever's sitting out there is going to get the opportunity, right? And it always stuck with me, right? Because I always give Dylan total free reign to do what he wants to do in that area, right? And man, like, has that worked? Right? Because the people who are there are the ones that truly deserve the opportunity, right? And then guys like you, I mean, you take that opportunity and you multiply it by 100, and the next thing you know, like, in 1 year, you've already got a really decent sized book, going for you.